What is going on, everybody? Crypto Coffee here with a video about the HEX big payday. So it's the aftermath, guys. It happened. And this video is for anybody that maybe is new to HEX that doesn't totally understand what happened, because I know there's a lot of people out there saying a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of talk from people that might not understand what's going on so well, and a lot of misinformation out there too. So I'm here to help clear up some of that misinformation and just give you the objective narrative about what happened. A little bit of my own thoughts on why it happened, which is pretty obvious to people that have been in HEX for for a long time. Really, if you've been in for over a month, none of this should really be surprising, especially if you did your own research and actually read what you like hex.com and everything. But a lot of people were attracted to this big payday, thinking it was just going to be an airdrop, and everyone was going to get free money and just dump it right away and just get rich overnight. That's obviously not what's going to happen. But the big payday was a bonus in HEX that was paid on November 19th. The bonus amount was based off of the total percentage of unclaimed Bitcoin. So you could have claimed HEX with Bitcoin for free. A lot of people did not. And so out of all the people that did not, their potential rewards got divvied up between anybody that was staked on November 19th. So you had to have an open stake during that day in order to get the bonus. What this led to, obviously, was a lot of people that were really short-term thinkers just trying to make a tiny stake for 1 to 2 to 3 days, just until right after big payday, so they could dump it on the market, right? Thinking that it was just an overnight flip. And a lot of people did do that, which was to be expected. I made a previous video about it saying there probably would be a dump. But a lot of those people got the short end of the stick. And the real people that won in this situation were the long-term stakers. So you might be confused about why some of the OGs and some of even the recent people that got in and they staked long, even if you got in a day or two ago, if you're a long-term thinker, a long-term staker, you're probably pretty happy with the result. I know I'm definitely excited about what happened, and I think the best possible thing that could have happened actually did. So let's talk about why. So first of all, as a concept, the big payday is based on the percentage of people that are staked, right? So there's a lump sum payment and it gets divvied up to all the stakers. So if less people are staking, those people get more HEX on that day. And if more people were staking, those people got less HEX on that day. And so a lot of people were confused because, again, they didn't read, they didn't do research, and they saw the staking percentage about a couple weeks before big payday was only 12 or 13%. And what this led to, let's show a pie chart for an example. This pie chart on the left-hand side shows the staked HEX in pink, the non-staked HEX in yellow. So what this chart looked like before a couple weeks before big payday was actually only 12% staked. And this led to a readout on the big payday payout on go.hex.com. For example, this is the big payday column on go.hex.com. It showed the future projection of how much big payday was worth. And so they saw a pretty big number in this column, which was about 2 to 3x of what their principal was. And they didn't realize that this number is obviously variable, because again, it varies based on how many people are staking. Again, more people stake, less payout. Less people stake, more payout. So a couple weeks before, a lot of people were like, oh, big payday. I can 2 or 3x my money overnight. Also not even considering the fact that, hey, everybody else probably has that idea too. So going with the herd and doing what everybody else does in crypto is typically not the best way to make money. You want to buy when people are fearful, sell when people are greedy, that kind of thing. So this big payday bonus was a variable number based on the percentage of staked people. But a lot of people didn't do their research, and they didn't understand that. So they thought, oh, I'm going to get a 2.5x for free for doing nothing. And that was a little bit short-sighted, because anybody that was in it for an overnight flip probably didn't do that well. For example, there's a big recent price drop, right, which has happened over and over in HEX. So this is nothing new. It's crypto, right? It's volatile. Stuff drops 60, 70% sometimes, and usually it doesn't come back. But in HEX, it's came back 4 times now, or 3 times. So anyway, I'll get to that later. The all-time high was made on November 4th, looks like. And a couple days after that, there was a little bit of a sell-off. And this sell-off right here was actually from November 4th to maybe November 7th or 8th, was due to just people front-running, right? So people were trying to front-run the big payday because smart traders probably knew that everybody else was going to be trying to sell right after big payday to get their 2 to 3x, they thought, and just dump right away. So the people that were a little bit ahead of the curve tried to front run that and sell early. Then we had a little bit of tapering off, and you'll notice this dip on November 15th, 16th, 17th. This dip right here on the 17th was actually due to something really, really cool that happened. And what happened was essentially the staking percentage went from 12% all the way up to 97%. And part of the reason for that was the origin address, which controls a large number of the coins, also chose to stake. So they chose to stake, and they made some short stakes until right after big payday, just like a lot of other people did, right? A lot of other people did the same thing as the origin address did. But the difference is the origin address isn't going to sell the coins afterwards, right? So a lot of the other people that were in it for a quick buck, they sold. And they sold, but, and here's the really genius thing, is that the reason the origin address made so many stakes a couple days before was to make everyone's big payday bonus a little bit lower. Again, it's still a bonus. It's still free money. So people are complaining, but you still got a bonus for free, guys. But it was to make everyone's bonus a little bit lower so that they wouldn't have as much sell pressure afterwards. And so when that started happening, a lot of people started realizing, oh crap, I'm not going to get a 2x or a 3x like I thought I was. I'm only going to get a 30 or 40% bonus. Now, guys, in the real world, a 30 to 40% bonus is pretty awesome. So, only in crypto do people complain about free money, right? But that happened, and then a lot of people realized, oh, I don't even want to wait for big payday. I'm just going to get it out of my system now. So by having a staking percentage that high, it actually shook more people out. Does that make sense? So it shook more people out before the big payday, and it actually minimized a big payday dump, right? So on the actual day, which is this pink line here, you'll see we had a dump, definitely. It was a flash dip because a lot of people were doing the exact same thing on the exact same day. Again, trying to flip it overnight for a quick buck. And it quickly recovered, right? And the day after, we had another dip, which got eaten back up. And today, 2 days later at the time of this video, we're sitting at about 0.0043, which is really only, we're sitting at October levels. So we're at about the same price as we were at in mid-October, a little over a month ago. So these short-sighted people are calling crash, HEX is over, blah, blah, blah. The haters are having a good old time, I'm sure. And they don't understand why the people in the HEX community are actually very happy about this. The reason is because we shook out a lot of the weak hands before the big payday. And now we're actually more confident that the bottom might be in. Now, I'm not going to say that for sure. I don't know what the price is going to be, and neither do you. But there's a much better chance that the bottom is actually in because we got a shakeout of the short-term flippers that were trying to trade and stake for 2 or 3 days and sell right after. Now, the real winners in this were the people that actually staked long-term, because if you're staked out 2, 3, 4, 5 years, like myself and many, many others, you are not as concerned with the day-to-day price movement, even if it's volatile, because you're locked in. And if you unstake early, you're going to pay a big penalty. So we've been riding these dips. Again, this is our 4th dip now of 70% or more. And this particular dip flashed all the way down 86%. But you'll notice it's now sitting at about a 70% dip. So the reason we're all partying on big payday and the community's having such a good time is because this is not our first rodeo, guys. This is our, again, 4th rodeo. And at this point, it's just fun. It's just fun to laugh at the haters because we're all staked long term. And again, if you bought in any time before October or earlier, you're not doing so bad. You're break even or positive. So really the only people that are probably upset right now are the traders that bought the top and sold the bottom. So crypto has no shortage of people that buy high and sell low, and it's really due to their own impatience. It's just simply due to the fact that they don't want to hold long term, or they can't see the bigger picture, right? So again, staking percent could go up or down. It was always a variable rate. It had remained at 12% for a long time, which is I think why people assumed it just wasn't going to change. But in hindsight, obviously hindsight's 2020, but 97% staked, I'm not going to lie, that's higher than I thought. But I did think there was going to be an increase because everybody would be trying to stake to get in for that big payday bonus. Make sense? So I thought there was going to be about 50, maybe 60% staked, but the fact that the OA, the origin address, ended up also staking brought it all the way up to 97%. And that led to a much smaller bonus for the short-term stakers, about 30 to 40%, which means anybody trying to hold for that quick flip had less HEX to sell on the open market. So the staking percentage essentially led to a shakeout, which also led to people just holding for a quick flip having less HEX to sell on the open market. So it minimized sell pressure after that day, and it encouraged people to weak hands to get out before that day. And again, if you're in it for the long term, I know people, myself included, that have 15-year stakes that have actually done over double. So my 15-year stakes, because of the way that shares work and because of the way that longer pays better and longer is just better due to share rate and compounding, my longer stakes have up to 7 to 8 times the bonus that the short stakes have. And a lot of people in HEX for a while realized this. And it really doesn't take much reading. You just go read the homepage and maybe spend a week or two learning about it. But a lot of people didn't want to do that. So it's also kind of a similar result as a stock split, right? It's obviously not the same at all, but in a stock split, you get less, the price goes down, but you get more shares. This is kind of a similar thing. Everybody got more HEX, but the price went down to accommodate that. So a lot of people might not be as wrecked as they seem. I think the real people that had a bad time on big payday were the short-sighted people that didn't really agree with the long-term vision of HEX. And so that's why I'm just more confident in this project than ever before. I'm more confident in HEX than I ever have been because the OA has proven to be benevolent, right? It acted in the best interest of the long-term holders that are holding HEX the way it was designed to be held. I mean, you can trade HEX if you want to, but HEX is not a trader's coin. The volatility might attract people in, but it's just further proof that unless you're the top 1%, top 2% of everybody, you're just going through the trading meat grinder. The real winners of HEX in the community, the giant 20,000 plus community, are the people that have bought and held. And most people are still up. Again, the prices we're at now are still up 70x from all-time lows. So it's pretty hard to be mad about that, right? It's pretty great. And just to zoom back out as well, let's take a look and just show you guys why this isn't the first time this has happened. So this is the Uniswap V1 chart, right? A lot of people are using the Uniswap V2 chart, and they don't realize that somewhere around August, I think, the liquidity got switched from V1 to V2. So use the V1 chart if you want to see the full history of HEX, because a lot of the haters out there, they're showing only a couple months of history. And this is really where it started at, right? So in mid-December, HEX gets listed on Uniswap and drops 75%, right? People buy it back up to this high right here, and it drops 65%. And then, so that's 2, right? And we break out again with a gigantic run up over up here. And it drops 65% again from all-time highs, right? And then we fluctuate a lot of volatility, right, guys? A lot of volatility. You can trade it, but it's easier to sit it out, in my opinion. And after this most recent breakout, another giant run up, another big sell-off. But again, every time HEX dips, it seems to come back higher. So we're not going anywhere as a community, as a product. This is only the beginning. A lot of people don't realize that launch phase is over, but that was the launch phase, guys. That was the primer. So now we can do the marketing, the actual taking all the action. We've got a giant community full of great, talented writers, marketers, developers, ready to build additional things on top of HEX and around HEX, adding to the ecosystem every day. So if you want to join the community, t.me/HEX crypto, you can see what's going on. And you can ask people what's up, ask your questions, be respectful, but you'll learn that this is a movement, guys, and it's really not going anywhere. And if you look up at this price here, we're still up 7,566%. So at current prices, we're 75x up from the bottom. Again, if you're a long-term holder and a believer, kind of hard to be upset about a 75x. And again, we're all very excited for the future. Now, another cool thing that happened is that when all the HEX is staked, it's actually burned and taken out of circulating supply. So for a minute on nomics.com, HEX actually dropped in market cap from like top 20 all the way down to 100 and something. But as of lately, a lot of that HEX has become unstaked again. So we went from 97% all the way to 60% liquid now. And so all that newly liquid HEX that the OA unstaked, again, they're not going to sell. I'm taking that bet. I'm pretty confident about that. And it's actually bringing the market cap way back up again. So all this liquid HEX is sitting here to bring the market cap up from, 100 or whatever it was yesterday, all the way back up to 22 today. And we've been top 5 before, so I think we'll get back there pretty quickly, in my opinion. Obviously, not financial advice, and I don't have a crystal ball, but that's what I think. Now, a lot of people have been calling this a rug pull online, and I think that's just silly. If you've watched my previous videos, you know that a rug pull is when liquidity is pulled out, right? So liquidity is all pulled out and nobody can sell, and that's what a rug pull means. It's a new concept in crypto because we really haven't had automated market makers before. Anyway, the HEX ETH pair is looking pretty healthy on liquidity, guys. 5,000 ETH on the ETH side, 650 million HEX on the HEX side. And it's only really gone up. The reason that you see this number going higher and lower is because it's denominated in dollars, right? So the price of HEX dipped, and it looks like the liquidity is lower, but because it's denominated in dollars, that's why. So the actual number of HEX and ETH in the liquidity pool really hasn't changed too much, guys. And trust me, if you want to sell it, there's more than enough liquidity for you to sell into. You can go ahead and sell into all of our strong hands, and all the dip buyers, feel free. Because the people that know what's really going on, we get excited when there's a 70% dip, right? We know when there's blood in the streets, that's when it's time to buy. No financial advice. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much what happened. Let's do a quick recap, right? So again, people front ran the dip as to be expected. There was more front running due to the lower big payday payout due to the OA staking. So that was unexpected for me, but actually great for holders. And I told you why. It gave us way more HEX on our longer stakes, and we don't have to worry about selling because we're in it for the long term. There was an ultimate, basically what it was the ultimate we can shakeout. So it was kind of a FU to people that were just looking for that quick buck, that short-term gratification. And it really is a message to all of the HEX holders that if you're playing it for the long-term gratification, if you see the bigger picture and you're doing it the right way, not only is it a dip buying opportunity, but it's a massive increase, depending on how long you were staked, to your principal in HEX whenever you get to redeem it, right? So it led to actually a smaller dip on the big payday. By the OA staking a lot, it shook people out before big payday because they weren't going to get their 2 to 3x that they thought they were. And really, it led to a quicker bottom. So is the bottom in? I don't know. I don't know if the bottom is in, and neither do you. But I think it's much more highly likely that it might be. Again, so the real genius here was the OA staking short term, just like everybody else was trying to, or not everybody, but some portion of people, and lowering their bonus shares to shake them out. Now, again, if we're right back down to October levels, guys, And if you can see the bigger picture, if you can look past 1 month of time, if your vision is bigger than that and your attention span is longer than that, if you have a high time preference and long time horizon, we're all sitting pretty, guys. And again, great time to buy, in my opinion, not financial advice. But I think we've only just begun. And again, as Richard Hart says, people don't realize how high HEX can go. So if you think this is it, you think HEX is done, dead, over with, get out. The community doesn't care. People are going to keep buying. New people are going to come in. Smart people with long-term vision are going to come in and scoop that HEX up. And again, we've got years and years to go, right? So good talking to you guys. I'm sure this video will get a lot of hate from people that still don't understand, but I did my best to try to explain what was happening. So as always, guys, keep calm, HEX on, have a good rest of your day.